I think the judgment on it was, yes.
Or not, maybe not judgment, but reflection. What is the reflection?
Good word.
Upon that.
Needs more
energy.
uplifting. My voice goes right through me. And I like hearing your voices, but I never heard enough of that. And I know I spoke a lot, but I'm wanting you to step forward and say something. But I generally see pockets and I watch you and I'm thinking, are they going to say anything now?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I've got wee things running about my head. But there's some times where I can cut, which is, I need to work on that. Cutting over people. So
maybe what we need to do is better inroads or overlays or cues for one to jump into the other.
Just
in the beginning. So until we
script.
No, not a script, because a script is not authentic.
Exactly.
But maybe just better auto cues that this is my cue when you say this is my cue to go in. And we test it and we see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I think it just ended up getting freestyle when you realise that no everybody's getting involved.
Yeah.
But then I realised that after I went, it's because some people work in a business, they're not business leaders, entrepreneurs,
but
business owners.
Even in that room, you'll always find that in a room it's difficult to get participation out of people. People don't generally want to participate.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad, really. Because if you are going to an environment like that, you're trying to get something out of it. So confidence, well, grow your confidence. Look at Jade there. She got up, she was nervous herself, but she still did it. She's attacking her fear. And you've got to applaud that.
Absolutely.
No.
I think that, well, it's also this thing, what's in it for me? Mm-hmm. What's in it for me? And people don't like to be vulnerable or don't like to be exposed. And everybody lives behind a mask. Doesn't matter what you say.
There was
Yeah.
some good interaction.
There
was. But I mean, it's interesting when you reflect back, because it's easier as you've got the benefit of hindsight.
When you've got an event that you're going to, and maybe I'm just a bit different, but when I'm going to, if I've been invited with my suppliers or wherever it is to the football or the racing, I'm generally going in there, want to have a good time, but I'm looking to talk to people because this is all my time, my business time as well. It's not, yes, it's a bit of a jolly, but it's also, I want to get something from that jolly. I want to meet new people and talk to new people. And when you're going to something like we did at Tynecastle, so a big shout out to Amanda and Michael.
I've got a shout out.
Well done. You hit the right button this time.
And it stayed off.
You've no robot mode.
It takes
or
weeks
like
of practice.
Just the lights. Look at a wee kid with a new toy. So Noodlestars, that was a charity event for the listeners on Friday. We did the speaking at Tynecastle. Noodlestars.
Neurostars, very good. What does Neurostars do, Johnny?
No,
That's a good question.
Wicus has got to tell us.
Wicus has got to tell us.
So Neurostars is a charity and they help neurodiverse children. I think in today's world, they bring them out of their shell. They all do it at Tynecastle and they just help the kids reintegrate, teach them new skills. It's a good charity to support.
They do it in their shed, what they call the shed. At the side of the stadium. Aye, so it was very good. And Amanda and Michael from Virtual
Virtual Assist.
You're doing really well here. I'm catching up because I slept in this morning.
He did sleep in.
Shocking. I can't believe I did that. But for their first event, they were telling us they raised about $1,000.
That's phenomenal.
After paying everything. I was like, well done to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb. Because there's a lot of work that goes into that.
I'll give another button for that.
Oh, well done. I tell you what, you were definitely up early this morning. So well done at them, and it was a great event. Great event. And I think, well, what would you say you got from that, Wicus?
I think I got to meet a whole lot of new people that I wouldn't have met in the normal course of business. And for me, it's about building connections and just talking to a whole range of different people.
Same here. I've had a few over the weekend as well. People connecting. Worthwhile event, I would say.
Mm-hmm. What did you get?
Connected. I reconnected with people that I knew.
Oh, that's really important.
That's really good. Important, and we got a really good chin wag. For people that are living in Philippines, that means conversation. Just trying to say.
Just you.
But then I met a few more people. Met that Neil from Corp, I think it is.
Yeah, the
High
security.
He was an interesting guy. Karen, who does the stem cells, and a few other people. It's the power of connection.
That's what it's all about. It's about connecting.
And it's about what you do after as well. So I noticed the Nespresso guy has checked him with me on LinkedIn. So
Yeah,
he's done
he's
his.
one of them.
But what would have been really nice if he just sent a wee message, because we had a bit of chinwag about the coffee. You know, I'm just dumbing it all down. Council coffee. And we're having a good chat. I thought, what would have been really nice, just repeating that conversation we
Personal
had.
touch.
Did a really nice meeting you, and then maybe discuss what we chatted about. I'll go, he's listened, that was really nice. I mean, it's a game, but you want to open up these conversations. But I was really interested because I spoke to that Karen who did the stem cell. She was telling me a lot about her husband and the ailments that they've had and what it's done, and she works for the company, and I'm like, wow, that's really good. And that's all driven from our background and what's actually happened in life. So that's,
So a real
putting
life
that path.
experience.
Suppose that's a nice segue into what people are doing in their business, why they're doing it. Is there something that's happened that's made them go on that path? Is it a conversation? Is, things happen in life, and that's why things keep evolving. And you move left, right, up, down. You're constantly moving, and you're constantly going with the flow sometimes. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, networking's a good one.
All right.
Since we're on that, the benefits of networking. What would you say the biggest? If somebody's just starting just now, what would you say to them to give them a bit of advice about networking? And we'll go to Wicus first because Johnny talks too much.
So I think that's probably the biggest thing is when you start your business, and especially if you come out of an employed environment, you need to change your mindset, because there's a very different mindset from being an employee to being self-employed and a business owner. That's a different conversation. But one of the things that you do need to do is you need to get out there. And how do you get out there? How do you get known in the local business community? And then you expand from there. So if you wanted to do something, I would definitely recommend joining a networking group, whichever one you might like, because you meet a lot of like-minded individuals. But it's also a good way of getting awareness of your business and your product out there, because people buy from people. And the more people you can connect with, the better for yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll always buy from you. But if they come to you and they go, oh, I need a guy that does doors, you can go, well, I've got just a guy for you, Johnny from Complete Doors. And that's how you connect people. And that's how connections are built. And then as you move up that hierarchy, if you think about, you have one small connection or connecting group in Dunfermline, you can grow that to Edinburgh. You can really grow out online. So networking to me is really important when you start building your business. It also establishes your credibility. And I think we all want to be credible. But how do you build credibility? That's an interesting question, is how do you build credibility? Johnny, how do you build credibility?
Being seen and being heard and turning up, showing the best version of yourself. We always talk about in networking, if you're not there, you're missing opportunities. When you're having conversations, you're being able to explain to people where you're going in life, what you're trying to do it for. When you're having what they call one-to-ones, you're having wee coffees with just people, building up rapport. And I think building up rapport when you start, again, we've said this quite a lot, offloading a little bit about your business because we've got so much commonality. And it's to make sure a lot of people think you've got your shit together all the time. But the landscape is changing all the time in business. And it's wonderful. You know what? I love it. I love it when the landscape's changing because it keeps you on your toes. And you've either got that inner fight in you or you're not. But with the power of networking and meeting people, you get to lean on them when you need them. You can lean on an accountant. You can lean on a solicitor. You can lean on a business advisor. Maybe you're trying to grow your property portfolio. You lean on somebody like Mike and Leighton. You lean on somebody, you try to do stuff in your house, whatever it may be, a staircase, doors, or extension. You lean on the people in that room because you're more or less trusting them because you get to meet them, every week, every couple of weeks. So the question is, why wouldn't you be in a networking group?
I think it's also on the trust thing is you need to, because somebody's going to pass you an opportunity for business, is making sure you follow up on that. Even if the business doesn't come through, you know, if somebody's not just handed you a lead and you've done nothing with it, because then you'll never get anything off them again. So it's important if you do get them to follow up on that.
I would
try and win it.
You're right. You're 100% right, Mike. See, when you go into a networking group, now for somebody it's just maybe starting out and the importance of being able to find your confidence quickly. You need to start striking up conversations. Now, a lot of people are intimidated by opening up a conversation. I mean, if I made it so blatantly obvious, it's like chatting up a guy or a girl. People are nervous about it because they're worried about the rejection. In networking, it's far the opposite way. They want to help you. If it's the right networking group, they want to get to know you. So I think you have to start thinking about conversation. How do I have a conversation? Because I'm okay with it because I've been doing it for a long time. But see if somebody to come along and speak to you and say, I do road markings. A lot of people go, road markings. There's easy questions you can ask around that. But you remember, you're getting to find out about the person. So easy questions. Wicus, give us 2 easy questions, and I want to ask you the same, Michael. So 2 easy questions. If you're getting stuck in a network and you're having to hold a conversation, what's 2 questions you could ask to start off with?
So I suppose the easiest one is and what guys normally do is when you get into networking is, what do you do? Because that is an open-ended question. People can talk to you about it. But I want to challenge you. I want to think outside the box. I always ask guys, how are you doing? Okay, and then
fine.
And people go either fine or they go not bad. And then I counter, when you say you're not doing not bad, does it mean you're not doing good as well? Or you're doing bad? What does that mean? And then we have a bit of a laugh. And it's about creating that relationship, getting that personal spark going with them. So for me, those 2 work really, really well. Right. Or you talk about something that happened on the weekend. You need to get to know your audience and who you're talking to. Right. But don't be afraid to talk.
What about you, Michael?
I start off just really try to get to know them as a person. So I'll ask them personal questions. Excuse me, spit that out. Family, friends type of thing. And then I'll often be like, what is it that I could do for you? What's the one thing, if you were going to get anything out today, like that I could try and help you with? That's what I would go with. But on the other side, I wouldn't go, I do road markings. I go, like, I help keep cars safe on the road.
But and that's a good point and a tip for people. And that comes with education and being in that. But if you imagine somebody's been drop kicked at a PYE job and they're now going into it, but that's a brilliant tip.
You only discover that as you move along that journey.
But we've just told you. Yeah. So now you know.
But you know what? It's the age-old adage where you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So when you think about your business, you shouldn't be thinking about products and services. You shouldn't be thinking. You should be thinking completely the opposite, because people don't buy products and services or solutions to problems. They buy why you do what you do. Good old quote from Simon Sinek there.
But it's true. It's the value that you're creating.
Yeah,
and a lot of people in business will turn their eyes or roll their eyes. Value in business. Where are you from, America? Are you giving us all that self-help stuff? But that keeps cropping up all the time because it's tried and tested and it works. You know, the old saying, people buy from people. Well, they do.
It's the truth, though.
It's true. It's just you've heard it so many times that you don't take it in, you don't digest it, and you don't, understand the meaning of it.
So I'm going to tell you, we've become complacent. Said to you before, biggest risk in business today isn't things like cash flow or markets, it's complacency. We've stopped challenging ourselves, stopped challenging the status quo, because when things are easy, we'll keep on doing the easy thing until the results aren't there. What do we do then? So now's your complete time to say, I'm not going to be complacent. I'm going to push myself. So what is one thing you can do every day that you didn't do the day before? And it could be as simple as driving a different way to work. It's how simple it is to just not become complacent.
Mm-hmm. So talk about complacency, networking still. Let's keep going talking about networking, the importance of it. Because they're all different. They are different. However, if you want to become a really good networker, you need to study the art of listening to people. And the more people you're connected to, it's better for you and potential clients or business owners, because you can open up your wee black book of all the contacts. And it's how many people do you think's in your phone just now? And how many people do you want in your phone that could actually quite happily have a conversation with you and be happy for an introduction into somebody else, and vice versa? That's what you build. It's like a database, and we speak about this quite a lot. Data collecting is so important, and that data is in your phone as well. You want to fire out any opportunities, like offerings you've got, bang, send out there. Anybody know who needs this? And then give them an offering that they can't refuse.
So networking is more like data collection.
Well, I would say is.
So you can make
friends.
A data-driven decision.
Yeah, you take friends. And friends in business, sometimes, it works and doesn't work. But if you wanted something, you just call on your friends and say, listen, I'm needing a bit of a helping hand here. And your friends know you. They know the ins and outs of you. They know, they've been on holidays with you. They go
They know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
They do. But they're still stuck to you because you're their friend. And it's the same in business. If you can make a great business relationship, which kind of makes it friends as well, why wouldn't they want to help you?
So it's the power of connection that you're after.
100%. And that comes from being interested in them to start off with. And you'll find, I did say that on Friday there at Tynecastle. I was amazed the amount of people I met. They never actually asked me. And when they asked me, it was a quick question, but I normally do the 1-20 game. And I change it and start asking questions. But you are looking, if they are of substance, they'll start asking you questions. Now, I might be shaking the tree a little bit, but it's with massive respect. There's people in business that still need to learn a lot more. There's people in networking that really need to step up their game a little bit. In Tynecastle, there's people that need to step up their game. I'm going to be honest. There was a lot of people in there that really need to step up their game.
When you say step up your game, what do you mean?
Be aware. Be aware of what they're giving off. Be aware of what they're doing. You're getting opportunities, whether you're an employee or you've got your business, whatever it may be. I looked around the tables right now. All I wanted to do is try to turn the frown upside down. Now, it was a comedy sketch of us. We'll try to give them something. Maybe we just weren't good enough. But when you look out the audience, I'm thinking, smile, what you got to do your face? What you got to do your face for? You should be showing off the best version of yourself. I watched people in that room just congregating to their wee groups because it was a safe group.
Yeah, so that is an interesting thing. I think that always push yourself outside your comfort zone.
If I had a networking organisation, the first thing you would be happening, your name's coming out. Is there anybody you don't know? Right, you're going to go and speak
Names
to them.
in a hat.
Well, I should have missed that. There wasn't keys in the bowl. But I think everybody was safe that day. Used to, weren't they? I'm only kidding. But you would want to encourage that. Well, and a really good networking, encourage everybody to speak to people they do not know.
Why would you not want to meet more people?
Because people are just a bit thick.
I think nerves, there's a bit of experience as well comes with it. But if you are just starting off, this is good stuff, I think. Just when you go into a room, just go and find somebody you don't know. And when you first start out, you might not know anybody. So that's an easy bit of fishing. But once you get into it, then it's easy to congregate to the people you know. And there's nothing obviously wrong in going and saying hello. But move on quickly and just try and meet people you've never met before. It's as simple as that.
What were you like in your first networking event?
I didn't really know many people at all. But
I did sound like that. You can rewind it back later and listen to it. It was quite good though.
But I'm not one that's shy in the sense of walking into a room. Like, I'm quite happy speaking to anybody. I did learn about, you learn a lot of stuff, but you learn just how to speak to people. And mate, it's all about the benefits you create. What are the benefits rather than just what you do? Because people switch off quite quickly with all that. So just try and make it interesting. And I see a lot of people that turn up that are super nervous and they end up hiding in a corner somewhere, and they might end up speaking to one person and just get that comfort blanket and stay there. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'll generally go over and try and encourage that person to come out of their shell. But if you are nervous, because I love it, so there's a lot of anxiety and stuff in the world now. just get there early is my advice. See if you're one of the first ones in, the room's empty. You don't need to worry about it. Let them come to you as they come in the door, then it just takes the edge off it a bit.
Normally, if you go to a good networking event and there's good networkers in the room, they will make an effort to get to know you because they understand that. They will make you feel welcome. So sometimes in your head is your biggest enemy because you think, what if these guys, we're always judging ourselves. Got to get past that. It's a fear. It's, again, you're complacent. Step outside that comfort zone. Go. No, I think the fear is they're judging me. Nobody's judging you. Everybody's just very happy to meet somebody new. And I go, that's interesting what you do. And you make it, I think you say it quite eloquently. And eloquently is a good word for saying.
Johnny and eloquently go together. I don't know. What you wanting?
When you say being interesting is interested, or being
interested is interesting.
That is true. And being genuine. I think people spot a fake these days a mile away. You can see who just. I've seen quite a few where I go, this guy is just entertaining me because he has to. And you spot it. And then I go, okay, cool, no problem. And I shut down and go, I'm just going to grab a cup of coffee because I pick it up. And that's just something you pick up. And then you move on. And don't be afraid to move on because not everybody's for you. Not everybody.
Yeah, it's very true. Do you know fears? I heard something about you only are born with 2 fears.
Yeah.
Do you know what they are, Michael?
You were going to tell me.
Wait, no.
Wicus, what are they?
The fear of loud noises.
100%.
And the fear of falling. I think those are the
heights.
Yeah.
Falling.
So when a baby's my wife does this. When a baby's born, they do something called an APGAR test, and they just drop the baby, and based on the baby's reaction, throwing their arms, they score them on a score of 1 to 10, I think. And you want your baby to score 8 or a 9 because it's just the first time they become aware of it. But you're right. People are only born with 2 fears. How many fears do you think they accumulate in their lifetime?
Oh, that's exactly it.
998.
Because they did this thing with a test where they put snakes around babies. The babies were touching them, no fear. So fear is brought on over
you learn it. Yeah,
before,
fear is
you
learned.
learn all of that. I find it fascinating. So fascinating. It's psychology and people. And this may be another segue into something else to discuss if you want to, about the art of communication, learning, networking, because what you're doing is you're doing indirect selling. And if you can't talk in a networking, what chance have you got to create a sales funnel for your clients, potential clients? You know how many people I say, I don't like being on camera. Shut up. Shut up. If you can't go on camera and you can't sell your services, just imagine having a kid and you've got to go on the camera. Yes, I don't like being on the camera. I don't like listening to my voice back, right? But it is, you've got to do it. But the amount of people that put blocks up in their way constantly, and I know it's controversial again, but come on,
I don't
get a grip.
I don't think you're controversial. I do think we create our own barriers and blocks and say, oh, no, I can't do this. Your reality is, there's 2 realities. I can do it and I can't do it. Whatever one you choose, that is your reality. But we are too quick to start making excuses why we can't do things. Let's try something different. Let's open our minds. I'm not saying that it's going to work, but if you don't try, so it's an interesting concept. Do you try all kinds of different foods? Would you eat snake?
Yeah, have.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Does it taste like chicken?
That one, not so much.
What does it taste like?
That one was in a lot of vinegar.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
The balsamic vinegar and
like
snake.
eel and puffer fish and stuff like that. Are you at least prepared? I'm not saying eat the whole meal, but are you at least prepared to change? Or have you become so, I want to say indoctrinated or narrow-minded, whatever word jumps to mind, but it's not really that, is that you go, no, I only eat this, this, and this.
Well, I'm not that one.
I'll try a lot of things, but I'll tell you right now, I know what I don't fucking like.
The point is not what you like and what you don't like, okay? Are you willing to try?
Yes, I am.
And as long as you're willing to try, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But do not order a 100-pound snail if you're not going to eat it, okay? Then just say, rather, can I have a taste of yours or taste something?
There was a... Like Mike says, if you're not dead, the worst thing that happens is you die. So if you've not died, then
you're still okay. Yeah,
you're still all right. And and you've said this again, Mike. It's hard in the moment, but 2 or 3 days later, you're like, past that now, eh? So it's amazing how much stress is brought on by yourself.
Yeah,
all of it.
But you get into your own head. And you start seeing things that aren't there, and you start thinking about things that aren't there. What you see is what you get. That's authenticity. So I don't really worry about things like that because you either like me or you don't. You cannot be liked by everybody in the world. That it's physically impossible to people please everybody. But as long as you're authentic and you're true to yourself and you try your best to be decent at least, you'll be okay.
Exactly. Another one I would say thrown in the networking is to be specific. Like, have a good think about what you actually want, what's going to improve your business the most. Is it a connection? Is it just more business in a certain, whatever it is that you're doing? But be specific. I say that again, be specific.
Sometimes I think it's just meeting up with your competitors. I love meeting up with my competitors.
Yeah.
I love just having a chat with them because 95% of what I want to know, they'll tell me.
Right.
And you know what the trick is? I let them do all the talking. I just ask open-ended questions. 95% of what you know, people will tell you. Your job is to figure out that 5%.
There's also business opportunities with your competitors.
Oh, for sure.
You know, we do quite a bit with competitors, so to speak, with a business that goes back and forward. So don't rule that out for sure. What else then? What else? One bit of advice. You have to give someone one bit of advice that's going to start networking.
Don't be afraid.
There you are.
I would say that is probably your because you walk into a room full of strangers.
I'll tell you one else. It's a lot long-winded, so don't be afraid. Definitely. Imagine you've got your loved one, kid, your dog, mum, dad, anybody, and that networking has got to work for you that day. That let the minutes and the hours count for something. You must get something from that. Set yourself a target.
Purpose.
Purpose. Set yourself a target for going into that meeting. I'm going to be connected with at least 2 people in there today. By hook or crook, I will definitely be connected with 2 people today. And you have to set these targets and goals every day, to be honest with you. And it's a bit cheesy, but you know, whatever you want in your life, every day it counts. You might say a blessing if you're religious or it's just a word. But every day you're very lucky to be here. You're very lucky to be here and alive.
Do you know why it's called the present?
Because it's a gift.
Well done.
It is. And do you know, it is.
But do you know what we spend doing?
Worrying.
Yeah. We worry about the day of tomorrow or what if it never comes? We worry about stuff that 95% of the time will never come true.
It's amazing how your body works and how it absorbs that. If you know that negativity or that concern, that worry, if you just knew how that was making your body feel on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people, like I've got a really good friend of mine who goes through a hell of a lot of pain every single day, and you know he's been to the bitter end a few times. I says, you're the most resilient person I actually have ever met in my life. That you can go through that every day and still continue. And he's got his target, he's got his goal, and why he keeps doing what he's doing. But I'm like, right away,
that's phenomenal.
You've got that resilience in you. And if that gives him a glimmer of just a wee bit of hope, then brilliant. But just know the value that you're creating for other people. Because sometimes you're too close to yourself, you don't see everything.
Yeah, you take a lot of things for granted. You talk about hope. That I just want to tell you a quick story about hope because it's interesting. They did an experiment with 2 frogs. They put a frog in water and they put him in complete darkness. And he lasted for 15 minutes before he drowned. Now, who knew a frog could drown? Yeah. They did the same experiment and they just dropped in a little glimmer of hope. That same frog, a little glimmer of light. That same frog treaded water for 72 hours.
The power of hope.
So, you know, what does that mean? Is that it demonstrates your mindset. Your mindset is either, no, this will never change, or maybe I just need some small little thing. And when you go into network, you're looking for that small little thing that'll accelerate you on your journey. And that could be a simple conversation.
What's your hope in business, Michael?
I want to just keep growing. Really?
What, like up the way or
up the way?
Out the way?
But not definitely out the way. It's impossible for me to go out the way. I've tried.
The man can eat anything and put no weight on.
How do you do that, though?
It's not easy, mate. It takes you years.
Obviously.
Some people are just built that way, yeah. And I'm one of them.
Lucky you, though.
Lucky.
Yeah.
So what would be a takeaway for anybody listening to the podcast today?
Well, one I would say also just take your business cards. Don't forget them.
Yes. Take business cards.
Just before we go on to something else.
But well, here's one for you, right? Because I take my business cards, but I also like to put their number on my phone.
But you get electronic business cards now. It just does it.
I know you do that as well, but
Well, you're talking to the king of technology here.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my crayon and paper. Wait the new son, let me sharpen my crayon. I don't know, is there something nice with the action? The action, typing it in. Is that your name? And you know when you forget somebody's name, you go, my God, what's your name again? They're like, aye. They might be a little bit offended. They're like, so glad you're not offended. It's just, I was too busy listening to what you were actually saying. I forgot your name.
Well, you just get them to put it in for you. Because I
could do
don't
that.
make sure the spelling's right. Could you just stick that in there?
Well, there was people at network and I forgot their name and I went, oh no. So that's what I thought, right, just introduce yourself. I was so, hi there, this is Michael, and I'm waiting for you to ask, and nothing happened. Whoever said their name, I'm like, don't.
That is an affliction I've got. That's the one
Yeah,
thing.
no, because you introduce yourself by your name and you expect the other person to give you the name as well because he's not there.
No, but when you instantly forget it, like instantly.
Here's one for you. If it was a woman, do you give them a cuddle? Because you threw me off the scent here when we went to the restaurant, and then you went down to that man and gave her a cuddle. I went, oh, I don't do cuddles. And I went, oh, and it was very awkward. I'm like, this does not feel right for me.
Yeah,
I'm a handshaker.
I think that's a personal trait.
That is. But
I
you can
think
pick that up.
Yeah, you pick that up straight away.
Aye.
The longer you've been with someone, the more you would know on socials. You'll know who you can hug and who you can't hug.
I think hugging's like, oh, come on. Like, no. You're not going to hug off me.
Well, why?
Just I don't
Is
know.
only your wife the one that gets a hug of you?
My wife, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a time and place when my auntie gets a hug, my wife gets a hug. But even when my dad's leaving, I did it, right, sure, I didn't give him a hug. I was like, fucking slow down a wee bit. But when he had, you know what was interesting? When he had his stroke, everything just came like that love and that, God, I love my dad to bits. He's my hero. And then I was cuddling him and I told him I love him and everything. And I didn't feel uncomfortable. It felt just right to say that at the time. But now time's passed, I'm like, oh, fucking tell him I love him. Of course I love him. You should know that.
No, that's the thing.
But I missed that. And I have seen things and you're like, phone your mum, phone your dad, check in with them. Because if you're only checking in with them 3 times a year, you're like, 3 times a year?
3 times a year? Jeez.
Well, 4 times, just phoning them. So now I phone my mum, just if I'm driving the truck, all right, Mary, how's it going, doll? And my dad.
It's about checking in. I think that hug builds connection. So and it's about letting the other person know how you feel. That's in a family environment.
Do you know it's weird?
But
I
a
hug my
handshake
mates.
is okay.
I hug my mates.
Yeah. That is weird. Why do you hug your mates but not
that's
your
all
family?
Your brain, that's just in your
Just because it's you, we're used to it.
Yeah. So
We used to get naked together in the band and stuff.
all right. I was sure, but thank you for that. Thank you for sharing
A
that.
hug's fine. Hug's just be a little bit foreplay.
Hug now is sort of acceptable after everything you've been through. But
Do you know
I
what
do
else?
think.
Sorry, doesn't help build connections.
Sorry.
What doesn't help build connections is bad breath.
Oh,
Brush your teeth before
body
you go
odour.
networking. Well, again, it could be an illness, but
you could have a halitosis or you're just lazy and you didn't brush your teeth. Do you know what?
when you start doing this,
I'm
you
going
won't
to
see that if you're
I
listening
want
to
to put
it.
chewing gum in.
That
you want some
was a
chewing gum?
hint. That was a hint.
I mean, I generally think that you've just woke up this morning and licked the toilet seat.
No, I think it's all little things. It's how you show up. Are you presented? Did you actually brush your hair? Is the sleep out of your eyes?
Don't got that problem either.
Do you do you look like you've just climbed out of the washing machine? Those are the things, because people form an opinion of you within 7 seconds of you opening your mouth, and they go, oh, well, this guy's a little bit disheveled. Doesn't mean that it's true, but that is their opinion of you. So best foot forward. You always want to impress. It's like when you chatting up a girl or a guy, always your best step forward.
I'm going to tell you,
Are you going to tell me an interesting story now?
I was actually, I don't know why. So years and years and years
Here we
ago,
go.
right?
It was last week.
No, years ago, I was in a pub and seen this guy, quite a cool looking guy, you know, older, but he just looked cool, eh? And, you know, grotesque, he farted, eh? In the pub, and it was absolutely stinking. And I mean stinking, and it was like vile, and I just went, that's fucking absolutely vile. I mean, you could taste it. It was that man. But that's the memory I've got of that guy. All the time, and I bumped into him. I don't know him. He was actually out somewhere else when we went out that pub, and I went, "You're stinky." But that, in my head, and every time I've met him, I just like vile, absolutely vile.
Yeah, so that's your memory. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for I just
no. But that I think that's a real life example of what happens.
So you done some? Have you dressed inappropriately? Have you been smelling that day, whatever it may be? You've maybe got missed part of your shaving or whatever. We're not all going to be prim and proper all the time.
No.
But it's just little things that people, they might only see you once and that's it, but that's what they remember of you.
Cool. There's a silence, John. What are you going to do?
I'm just
John?
reflecting on that. Should I have shared that?
No, but I think it is important. I think that on this series that we're going on is networking is probably the first step of a great awareness creation tool. Because when you think about starting your business, everybody thinks social media is the answer. And they post. And then they grow the audience. But are they growing the audience in the right way? So I would say that first step to validate if you're doing the right things, go to a networking event. Start talking to the guys. It's such a basic. I promise you, it's never the big things. It's the basics, the small little things we do. And we talk a lot about networking, okay? But that's how you start your business. And as your business grows, your network will also expand. Your networking will become different. It will become different.
All networkings are different.
Absolutely, it
So
evolves.
don't be shut down just because you've been to one or three and they weren't great. There's loads of them.
And it builds confidence. It's amazing how many people you see growing. You know,
Absolutely.
They've got to get up, they've got to do your little pitch and all that, and people are super nervous when they start.
And yeah,
Crippled
absolutely.
sometimes. There's people crippled with it.
Oh yeah, the fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, and you know, I think that it's very courageous when you can stand up and you can talk in front of somebody about anything. But that's a skill that you learn.
It is.
It's
exactly.
not something that happens. It's a skill that you learn.
Everybody's been there at the start.
And we all know that you learn by just doing.
That's the way.
Yeah.
And then we have got buttons here. Let's try a button. Yeah, we'll use that one quite a lot in the day.
I know, who would ever give someone, who would ever choose to give offence?
But you're right, though.
What about this one?